Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to both my monthly vlog and the review of 2023, also a peek into 2024. Come to a new location each month. Where are we today? Well, we're in the village of Pembridge. It's known as one of the black and white villages on the River Arrow in this particular part of the county of Herefordshire. We're about 7 miles to the west of the town of Leominster and a similar number to the east of the town of Kington. Has a number of unusual features in this, known for its black and white buildings, but also for its Motte Bailey here, which was excavated and lots of discoveries were made about it in 2004. It's dated to be the end of the 11th century, early 12th century. It was also visited by the then Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of Hereford. Hope you can join me again here on another monthly vlog looking at the wonderful village of Pembridge and its multitudinous secrets, as well as reading out the very best of your comments. The Motte Bailey is known as Court Farm Motte Bailey. As I say, it was excavated in 2004. Earliest records of it date back to, well, around about 1221, possibly 1226, when it was known as Castle de Pembridge. You can see there the wide moat that sits behind me. The origin of the name Pembridge comes from Penner's Bridge, although there may also be Welsh derivatives of that, because we're not that far from the Welsh border here in the heart of what is known as the Welsh Marches. I always think Herefordshire is a little bit of a Cinderella county. It's the least populated county in the entirety of England in terms of population density. It's not a small county by any stretch of the imagination. It has large urban areas like Hereford, also significant towns like Leominster, Ledbury and Ross-on-Wye. But I really like this county. It doesn't get much coverage on YouTube. I think that's because a lot of the bigger YouTubes tend to navigate towards the larger urban centres and shy away from scattered population areas like this. But I do think they're missing a lot. One of the delights of Pembridge is its octagonal tower of the church, which is separate from the body of the church, and we'll have a look at that shortly. In 1226, it was granted a royal charter to hold a market and 2 fairs throughout the year. One of those, I think, is known as the Woodcock Fair, which is in November, and there is another fair in May called the Cowslip Fair. I don't think they continue on these days, alas, but it does have a wonderful, what is known as a market hall, but strictly speaking, it's a marketplace, a top covering that, and it dates to the 15th century. Now it's just started to shower, so I've just taken the opportunity to come under what is called the market hall. Is in effect a covered marketplace, is 15th century. You can see, I think that goes down towards River Street, and we'll have a look down at the bridge over the River Arrow shortly. It's just a wonderful place. This stunning building right next to the market hall here is the New Inn. Delighted to see it is still going strong. I think it's a hotel as well as being an inn, and it's a free house as well. Incredible building. Pembridge sits on the River Arrow. Now that's not the River Arrow that runs through neighbouring Worcestershire, which is only a few miles to the west of a county of Herefordshire, bordering, making up the 3 counties, including Gloucestershire as well. But River Arrow actually rises in mid-Wales in the county of Powys, somewhere we've actually been on West Country Wanderings, not because it lies in my area, but because I've been following the Severn Way, of course, from its source, which also rises in Powys as well. The River Arrow flows through a lot of the northern part of Herefordshire before it heads south, and it joins the River Lug. The bit south of Leominster here is known as the Lug Valley, and the Lug itself then ends up joining the River Wye not far from the city of Hereford. Now, as I've been filming here, I've noticed several snowdrops popping through the adjoining churchyard here. Always heartwarming to see at the end of December. You know, spring is on its way. This is the pyramidal tower of the church at St Mary's. The church itself is just around that side there. The tower has 5 bells in it, including one cast from a famous bell caster, John Martin from Worcester, and one of the other ones was Abraham Russell from nearby Gloucester. Now, before I show you around the rest of this wonderful village here, I really like that bell tower, it's great. This is the first video that landed on my channel for the month of December was part 2 of the new series of Secrets of the Stroud Water. I omitted the word canal because it talks about other features of the Stroud Water, which also it applies to the River Froom, which flows through the middle of Gloucestershire. And in that particular episode, we had a look at the origins of that interesting place called the Ocean, which lies on what is now the Stroud Water Canal, and how that came about, because it was thought to have been fish ponds from the nearby Stonehouse Court, but it now turns out it's not the case following discovery of a copy of a map. And I had a really great comment on that from Diana Rolfe. Thank you very much for your comment, Diana. And Diana writes, thanks to the research and the origins of the ocean, I wonder why it got the name Ocean. It seems more than exaggeration. Yes, it does, Diana, and I don't know the exact reason. I did actually put a reply. This is what I replied to Diana in the comments section. I've tried to find the answer to that for a long time. It looks like it was called the Ocean shortly after it was built. Maybe a canal navvy's sense of humour. That's, I think, because obviously it's nowhere near the size of an ocean. It's just like an over-large pond stuck on the side of the canal joining it. Now, of course, a very useful winding hole, but that's probably the most likely theory that I can come up with. If you have an own theory on how it got the name Ocean, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Now, sometimes when I'm making these videos here on West Country Wanderings, things just happen. You can plan for things, you can do research, look at the history, look at the maps and the routes, that sort of thing, and the footpaths before you start making the video. But sometimes you go to a location and things just happen. And that was the case when I made my first Christmas video this season. I did several Christmas videos this month, obviously being December. I made a bit of a tradition because they seemed to do quite well last year, so I thought, let's see what we can do this year. And the first one that I did was I went to the town of Malvern, just over the border in Worcestershire, not that far from where I am today. I thought I'd just have a ponder and wander around that lovely town there. As I said before, the Malvern Hills area is my favourite in the entirety of the West Country Wanderings region that I cover here on YouTube. What I didn't realise was that the day they were going to switch on their Christmas lights. They had lots of things going on there. They had the Salvation Army brass bands, lots of events and market stalls outside the famous Priory Abbey there. I had a terrific comment on that from Michael in Poland. Hi Michael, always great to hear your comments. And Michael writes, greetings from a very cold and snowy Poland. Appropriately enough, at the time of he was writing the comment, it is -6 degrees this Saturday morning. Malvern looks a really vibrant place, full of flourishing shops and town centres. Indeed it does. In fact, it has 3 separate town centres and they all seem quite buzzy. The station was very impressive. What a gateway to the town. It's been restored recently and it looks magnificent. A real Christmas feeling about the place. You can't beat a brass band and snow. And yeah, I thank you very much for that lovely comment, Michael. inside Pembridge's famous bell tower. It's a wonderful open space here. There's even a ladder there which takes you right up to those 5 bells. It's one of a number of several isolated bell towers in Herefordshire, but this is probably the most famous and most beautiful example because of that pyramidal shape. Now, it's great that you can just come in during normal daylight hours to have a wander around this bell tower with this open frame construction, which is stunning. Before I carry on showing you around that, I'll keep quiet so you can hear the ticking of the clock provides the power or time, the timepiece for those wonderful bells here. Now, I do apologise for the grainy footage. The sensor is cranked up all to 64,000 at the moment because of the very low light levels in here, but it's more than made up for by the atmosphere and the sheer construction of this wonderful bell tower here in Pembridge. The next video that landed on my channel for the month of December was a town tour of Dursley, and I had a great comment on that from one Philip Pankhurst, who really sums up the town really well. If you're not familiar with the town, it's in the southern part of the county of Gloucestershire, and it's close to places like Wootton-under-Edge and Berkeley as well, which is famous for its castle. And he really sums it up well because he says, a good in parts curate's egg of a town, which I've always found fascinating and liked the running water and the bells from the Tower of St James. That's a really good summary of Dursley because it's quite an industrial town. It grew up because of the mills on the river there, the River Cam. Well, it's got another name, isn't it? It's the Ewelme Stream, the funny name there, before it reaches the village of Cam. And you had all those mills, and it later became developed with lots of factories. Lots of those have now closed, like Maudsley's and Lister's, which I mentioned in the video. Philip goes on to write, the church tower collapsed in 1698 and was rebuilt in 1707 to 1709 by one Thomas Summerson of Colourn in Wiltshire. I didn't know that. That's a brilliant comment. He was one of the last master masons to carry on in the Gothic style, unaffected by fashion of new ideas. He built a copy of his own church, Colourn, topped off by a copy of the pierced battlements at Gloucester Cathedral. That's a brilliant comment, Philip. Yeah, that's tremendous. I didn't know that. I know Dursley-ish. I don't know it intimately well. I live not that far away near Stroud, but that's a brilliant comment, and I do thank you for that. Well, there we go. That's the pyramidal bell tower chiming again. I was just so pleased to be able to capture it dinging for 12 o'clock. Because it was December, yes, of course, there was another Christmas video. And I managed to film 2 videos in one day. I went back to the Severn Valley, of course, been passing through the Severn Valley on the Severn Way earlier on in the year here on West Country Wanderings, and I returned to the beautiful Worcestershire village of Arley. They had Santa specials running on the Severn Valley Railway, which of course a lot of you will be familiar with, which is one of the very best heritage lines in the entire country. I was very fortunate at the day of filming that because it was a very cold and frosty morning. As it was white ice there, and I was a bit apprehensive about driving into Arley. I came up through Kidderminster, and then as you enter Arley, it goes down quite steep to meet the river. I'm thinking, ooh, if I'm going to get down here, will I be able to get back up again? But then I saw a bus making its way back out of Arley. I thought, well, if the bus can get back up the hill, surely I'll be able to get back up again in my little car. So I was so glad that I did, capturing the sight of two magnificent steam engines leaving the beautiful station, which was so superbly decorated out with lots of Christmas trees and Christmas lights. And they had a pantomime going on there in a covered pavilion right next to the station, which was really good. A great comment on that from Sean Spencer. Hi Sean, really nice to hear from you. He writes, there were some scenes there I half expected to see Jenny Agutter to be stepping out from the steam clouds, or even Bernard Cribbins waiting along the platform. That's a brilliant comment. And yes, I did think that when I was filming, I thought I was just so fortunate. And when I was filming it from the bridge there was no one else there. I couldn't believe, maybe people don't like filming in the cold. I think it was about -4, -5. And it put all the other railway photographers off. But I was so glad I made the effort to get down into the Severn Valley there to capture it for you. It was actually the most watched video for December on my channel as well. Well, I'm going to take a little break filming now. I'm just going to grab some lunch here in this wonderful village, and then I'm going to head down to the bridge which crosses over the River Arrow, of course, which you learnt in the earlier part of the video. And if I've got time, I'll have a look inside the church here too, because it says something about a map and some tapestries. I'm really intrigued by that, so hopefully we'll be able to have time to have a look at those things as well as tell you some more about what's been happening on the channel and the review of the year. Well, what a stunning location this is here. This is the River Arrow here with its beautiful bridge here. I'm currently standing in what is known as a wet woodland. Actually, it wasn't done by Herefordshire Wildlife Trust. It was actually done off the own bat of Pembridge Parish Council, I believe. And it's got some rare native trees here as well. They're actually black poplar trees which surround me. This area floods, but I'm actually on a boardwalk. I was hoping that the rain was going to ease so I could do some more pieces to camera. And I hope you enjoyed that little sequence showing some of the fantastic black and white buildings and those tapestries in the parish church as well. I thought they were magnificent tapestries here. But yeah, this is the Grade 1 listed bridge over the River Arrow here at Pembridge. Hopefully the rain will ease a little bit so I can tell you more about what's been happening on the channel. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't look like the rain's going to stop, so I've come underneath this fir tree, because obviously we're in winter. The deciduous trees don't give you any protection this time of year, so it's a lot drier under here than it is out there. It's not perfect, but at least it's keeping my camera reasonably clear from the heaviest part of the rain. But as you can see, it's a bit grey and miserable out there. But this here is actually Pembridge's village green, so it's what I would imagine in the spring and summer months this would be a very popular place, because both sides of the road here, I think it's called River Street, is dotted with picnic tables and benches, so you can look across the River Arrow. It looks quite muddy at the moment because of all the heavy rain that we've had, but I'm sure come springtime it'll be looking very, very delightful. I've just filmed part 4 of Secrets of the Stroud Water, but part 3 landed in December as well. And there I was looking at Dubbridge Locks. And that wasn't so much about the history of the canal, more its recent history right up to 2015, when a hydroelectric power station was built into the side wall of the lock when the lock was restored around the 2010s, providing a really good source of income for the Cotswold Canals Trust. Had a great comment on that video from Paul Turner. Thank you very much, Paul, for taking the time out to watch the video and to write. It's great to see the power of the water being used this way, and what a good sum of money it takes for the restoration work. It certainly does. So yeah, thank you very much, Paul, for that comment, and it certainly provides valuable income for the Cotswold Canals Trust. I then did one of my short bites. It was a photography short bite, again a Christmas video. I went to the Cotswold town of Malmesbury, one of my very favourite Cotswold places, and I went round there, taking some photographs of the lovely town, stayed while it got dark, so I did some nighttime shots of this beautiful, beautiful Cotswold place. I had a great comment on that video from Anita from the channel Oma Far Away. Anita writes, Malmesbury was one of the last places we visited. I think Anita lives in Holland or New Zealand. I'm never entirely sure. But she certainly has had a trip around Europe recently, and she spent a few weeks in the United Kingdom. And so yes, Malmesbury was one of the last places that she saw when she was in the UK. It's still vividly in her memory, so she really appreciated that. So thank you very much for that, Anita. How lovely to see it in its Christmas clothing. Indeed it was. It was looking really, really tremendous, with all those beautiful bows on the hotel and lots of other decorations on the trees scattered throughout that magnificent Cotswold town. On the run up to Christmas, because the days are shorter and the weathers are miserable, yes, like it is today between Christmas and New Year, I like to do videos that are closer to where I live. In fact, I went to the Cotswold village of Chalford, just the other side of the town of Stroud, not far from where I live, just a few miles or so. And I thought I'd do something a little bit different as it was on the run up to Christmas, a little bit of a fun thing. And what I decided to do was a treasure hunt on Chalford's website, village website. In fact, it's Chalford Hill. Chalford is actually made up of lots of different villages or hamlets making up Chalford Parish. As you go into France Lynch, it becomes Chalford Hill. And on their website, they had a treasure hunt. So I thought it'd be fun to do that treasure hunt going around the village looking for clues. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great comment from Martin Pope, who myself and Louise bumped into in Wells recently when we were doing our Christmas markets one. More about that in a bit. Martin writes, this had us glued to the screens trying to work out the answer with you. Some of the questions are really tricky, certainly they were, but it did look like it was a lot of fun. And we got to see this most lovely village of Chalford. Yes, it certainly did. There is a company that sells treasure hunts. I think they're like $9.99 each for each location. And I think they cover not just Southwest and West Country, but the whole of England and Wales, possibly Scotland as well. So you can pick that. If I can find that, I'll put a link into the description of that. I don't have any connection to them, and this is not an advertising plug, but if you do like treasure hunts and you enjoyed that one, yeah, if you want a fun day out just for $9.99, you can send off for that, buy it over the internet, and it gives you all the questions and answers, of course. So and I think there's like 30 or 40 questions for each place. So, and obviously it took some time and trouble to work them out. So worth considering when you're having it all around. Well, I couldn't continue filming there by the river because it was just absolutely lashing down. I actually returned to my car and sheltered in it, had a cup of tea and that for about an hour or so. And now, well, almost the sun is trying to come out. So I've just returned now to the front of the church here at Pembridge. I still really love the village despite the heavy rain that we've had filming here today. But it's a really, really special place. Also this month I went to Bristol. I normally shy away from cities, particularly large urban areas like Bristol is. But Bristol is very much at the heart of the West Country, and I don't think I can continue doing West Country wanderings without visiting large cities like Bristol. I've done some bits and pieces in Plymouth. Plymouth's about half the size of Bristol. So I caught the train down there and had a wonderful day in Bristol. Really enjoyed it, particularly going up Cabot Tower and seeing the magnificent views from the top of that, and visiting a couple of other places I haven't seen for probably about 40 years. Had a terrific comment on that video from David Bellani, who lives in Spain. And he writes, I used to travel regularly to the city of Bristol from Spain for work. Wow, that's quite a journey. That's a commute, isn't it? To a factory just off the end of the New Cut. New Cut is like a section of the River Avon that was dug in to enable boats and ships to get into and out of the harbour there. It's rare to get a chance to visit the places you travel to for work, but we did manage to climb up Cabot's Tower and walk across the Clifton Suspension Bridge. We also visited the Landogger Trow and a restaurant barge that was in the video. You'd probably never stop finding new things in Bristol. I think that's very, very true, David. Thank you very much for your comment, and it's certainly a place I'll be returning to in 2024 because I hope to do a video looking at the Docks Railway in and around Bristol, of which there is a lot still left. Some of it's restored and now part of the M Shed, which I also want to visit as well. I really love doing collaboration videos. And this month I did another collaboration with Louise from Southwest Sundays, always a delight. We caught the train and the bus to the City of Wales, the first visit that I've been to the City of Wales. Like this was the first visit to the City of Bristol, so two firsts this month here on West Country Wanderings, because they had their Christmas market on. It was the one and only day that they had their Christmas market, and what a magnificent spectacle it was. It was rather busy, but the thing is with Wales, there's lots of green spaces, particularly the Cathedral Close. You have lots of places you can escape to get away from the crowds. I particularly enjoyed going up the tower so you could look down across the moat, the Bishop's Palace, down to all the marketplaces there. And a terrific comment on that video from Jess's Grande Out, who also is another YouTuber, and I'll link to Jess's channel in the description of today's. I haven't been to Wales in years, only through it on the bus on the way to Glastonbury, but it looks a wonderful place to explore. Indeed it does, Jessie, and I do hope to return to Wales to have a look around the cathedral and the Bishop's Palace and other places in and around that wonderful city in the near future. Well, in 2024, hopefully. It looked busy too, with lots of variety in the market stalls. Definitely going to make it in my diary for next year. Yes, I think it was a great success, the market, more so than I think the market people thought it was going to be. So I think next year they will probably extend it over a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. I think that would be a really good idea so more people can get a chance of going to see it. On a slightly sad note, the collaboration I did with Louise last year for our Christmas video was at Dunster, beautiful place in West Somerset there, next to the West Somerset Railway, castle and all that. I hope to do the castle okay at a future point. Unfortunately, the candlelight event, the Dunster by Candlelight event, which we filmed last Christmas, has now finished. They had one this year, but that is the last one. They've decided it's a victim of its own success, which seems a little strange. I think they are wanting new people to take it over, and I think the people that have been managing that event for some time have now done it for many, many years. It's obviously a lot of effort to manage those big events that they've decided to stop doing it. After I filmed the Santa special in the Worcestershire village of Arley, I then went on to the wonderful Worcestershire riverside town of Bewdley because they had their Christmas switch on event. Oh, that was tremendous. As I say, I don't normally like crowds, but the atmosphere there was electric. It really, really was. They had a fun fair there, live bands going on, as well as the market stalls situated along the wharf side of the navigable bit of the River Severn, because it's, well, down from the Starrport on Severn, of course. Yeah, it was tremendous. I really, really enjoyed that video. I think that one and the Wells one of the two videos I've really enjoyed this month. I'll come on to what ones I really enjoyed making this year in a bit. But I had a wonderful comment on that video from Donna's Adventures. Hi Donna. Donna lives in Canada, makes some excellent videos, particularly at natural history and nature and plants and birds. Tremendous. Go check her channel out. Again, I'll put a link in below. I loved the live music and the market stalls by the river. I found myself giggling at the people enjoying the thrill rides. Yes, there was one that was whizzing right high up, wasn't there, in the fun fair there. Looks like a great evening out, and countdown to the lights was awesome. Yes, it really, really was great. So thank you very much for that comment. I do like covering heritage lines, and all the ones in the area that I cover here in Western Wanderings, I do like to return to them again. And one such one was the East Somerset Railway. Went there about 18 months ago. Decided it was a time for a return. So I went back to the East Somerset Railway, which is near the Somerset town of Shepton Mallet. And a great comment on that from Arthur Mee. I lived and worked in this area for a few years as a community mental health professional in the 1980s, so I was very familiar with the small towns and villages that you mention. It's good to hear about plans to reconnect. Some of them, yes, they have got plans to connect Shepton Mallet back up to the East Somerset Railway near that little hamlet called Cannods Cross on the main road, A37, I think. So that hopefully they'll be able to do that, which I think will bring in more trade to the East Somerset Railway as well. Thank you very much for that wonderful comment, Arthur. And finally, for this month, the month of December, I had a video, another Cotswold Walks one. I think I said in the video it was 2 or 3 months since I'd done the last Cotswold Walks. Ooh, large bang there, shooting going on, I think. It was 2 or 3 months, but it actually, when I look back at my months, it was nearer 5 or 6 months since I did my last Cotswold Walks video. For the first time, I thought I'd go near and also into the well-known village of Bourton-on-the-Water, a very, very popular place in the Cotswolds. And I went up to Clapton-on-the-Hill, which actually has got the smallest church or chapel in Gloucestershire. Lovely place though. And I've really enjoyed that walk. It was just a splendid walk to blow away the cobwebs even of Boxing Day. Another great comment on that from Susie, who lives in America. Most enjoyable and peaceful. Such tranquility. The sound of birds singing sweetly helped to make the journey delightful. Thank you very much, Susie, and thank you for your the comments you've dropped in recently looking at my Christmas videos. Very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank this month and this year Louise for the clubs. I've done that on the Southwest Sundays, for Alice Goss, and also for Howard, who I met up with in the city of Coventry in the West Midlands back in the summertime. There's a few other thanks. This isn't going to be an Oscar speech, but a few other thanks I'd like to do. Not so much people, it's just generally really, and that is to the people that volunteer for the Heritage Railways and also the canal trusts that I cover here on West Country Wanderings. Without those volunteers, I wouldn't have videos to bring you to highlight the wonderful canals that we have in the West Country and the Heritage Railways. Guys and gals, you do an amazing job. I'd just like to thank you. Absolutely, it is very, very much appreciated for all you do, keeping steam trains, diesel trains, railway lines, all those magnificent stations and the canals and the locks and everything that goes with that too. It's brilliant. Thank you. Also, I've got Woodland Trust and the National Trust and the Wildlife Trust. Without those magnificent people, we wouldn't have the green landscape that I cover here on the channel too. I've been some walks, particularly around Brixham, went through a lot of the National Trust land doing that. I've done woodland videos before now, which has featured woodland, and I've also done vlogs which have featured wildlife trust reserves as well. The last one that comes to mind was near Poulton, and you had the Avon Wildlife Trust there, and I'm sure I'll feature more in future videos here on West Country Wanderings, or brilliant volunteers or excellent work that they do. Now, a little bit about the review 2 of 2023 here on West Country Wanderings. I've got lots of things planned for 2024, but in total I produced 148 videos. I can't believe that. I went back and had a look and I thought, that can't be right, 148 videos, but yeah, it was. So that's roughly around 3 videos a week. So I'm hoping to be able to keep up that output. If I can, I'll try and do that. What I try and do is film a couple of videos in the same location each time to make it more productive, keep costs down for travel, that sort of thing. But yeah, 148. And I also have, so far to date, since West Country Wanderings has been running, 287,639 views. So thank you very much for that. I really much appreciated your support. Also, it was just before Christmas last year that I got to 1,000 subscribers. It was the early part of December of 2022 when I crossed over 1,000. Now I'm approaching 2,400 subscribers, so I've gained over 1,400 or nearly 1,400 subscribers in the past 12 months, and I really, really do appreciate if you subscribed to the channel over the past 12 months. It really helps keep supporting West Country Wanderings and driving me to keep continuing producing those videos. I'm also going to have a look at what might have been my favourite videos of the year. The ones I mentioned for this month were the Bewdley one and the Wells one. I thoroughly enjoyed both of those. But these are not in particular order, so I've got a top 5, but there isn't a 1 to 5. I really enjoyed the walk at Mansands Beach in Brixham. Love returning to Brixham. I'm sure we will again at some future point on the channel. But Mansands, it's just, well, I had the place to myself, and it was just tremendous place, and the sunlight was just perfect. Some shots in there, I think, looked like I could have been in the Caribbean, but I really, really loved that. Also, Portishead, that was another collaboration I did with Louise. Never been to Portishead before, and Louise, as she said in the video, grew up there, so that was really interesting to hear about her memories and recollections of Portishead. And it's an amazing place with the marina, all the history, the old buildings, the church, the Lido, and that large lake there as well. It's a great place. Burnbeck Pier, yes, that had real memories for me as well, and that video did really, really well, looking at the plans for the restoration of Burnbeck Pier in Weston-super-Mare. Hope that really comes off, but I really enjoyed making that video. I was really pleased with how some of those monochrome black and white shots turned out in the end with a telephoto lens. And a couple more. One was looking for a lost canal in Leominster, very close to here. And I will be returning. There will be part 3, so I've done 2 parts to that so far. I really enjoyed all 2 I've made, but particularly the one that sticks out was the first one. I really enjoyed making that video. And finally, in my top 5 for this year is Secrets of the Marsland Valley, which I did when I was on holiday in North Devon. And Marsland sits right on the border between Devon and Cornwall. And again, another stunning beach right on the North Devon, North Cornwall coast. Finally, I'd just like to say what's coming up on West Country Wanderings for 2024. Well, because I really enjoyed doing that Looking for the Lost Canal video at Leominster, I hope to do more of those type of things, both looking at lost canals and lost railways, seeing what we can see of the relics of those. So although I do my lost railway walks, they'll become a bit more of an explore type video rather than just doing the walk from location A to location B, more of a kind of an adventure, if you like, and I'll be hoping to take you along with me to see what we can discover with those canals and railways. So that's certainly coming up. Be completing the 7-way as soon as the weather dries up a bit, getting down to Bristol, of course, be doing that. There'll be more Cotswold walks as well. They seem to be really, really popular. As I said, it was 5 or 6 months before I had done one, but we're bringing you another one of those in the springtime when we get some spring and warmer weather. Do ought to be bringing you some more content from Devon and Cornwall. Of course, living where I do in Gloucestershire, it's not as easy to do that, particularly with darker months. I can get to Cornwall in a day on the train, but by the time you got there and back, there isn't enough time, daylight hours, to do anything useful with it. That'll be changing though as we go again into the spring months, so definitely more Devon and Cornwall things happening. And I'd also like to hear from you as well. So aside from the things I've mentioned, I've got a list, a very, very long list of all the places I want to go to and discover and bring to you here on the channel. But if you've got any particular places across the wider West Country area that I cover here on YouTube, and you'd like me to cover a particular place, I can't promise that I'll be able to do it, but if you've got any thoughts on that, again, I'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below. Thank you very much for supporting the channel throughout 2023. The channel has really, really grown over the past 12 months, and that's all down to you, for your comments, for your likes, for your shares and your subscribes. That makes all the difference, keeps the channel going. So thank you for that, and it keeps it growing, which I want to keep doing, keep making those videos across the wider West Country. And I really appreciate your comment and feedback. It makes a big difference. So I'd like to wish you all a very, very happy New Year. I'm not a big one for supporting New Year. I just think it's another day, it's an arbitrary number that humans have gathered together, so it doesn't really do much for me for that. But I know people do New Year's resolutions, they have new exciting plans for New Year. So if you've got some of those, then I'd love to hear from you as well. So please drop a comment below, and every success with that. So all peace and happiness for 2024. Thank you very much for watching today. Take care of yourselves, look out for yourselves. Cheers now, goodbye.